And actually, we are moving on to another guest. We have Svitlana Khrystenko, who will be joining us today. She actually came from Hague in the Netherlands, and she supports startups and entrepreneurs on a daily basis. She works for World Startup, which is an organization that helps them develop their ideas and get to a next level in business. And please, Svitlana, welcome.
Okay. Hello, everyone. It's a great pleasure for me to be here today, not only because I truly believe in young entrepreneurs, futurepreneurs, but also because I think we should all take any possibility that we have to support Ukraine in any means that we can. And today, I hope that we all are here gathered to support Ukraine in entrepreneurship and innovation, but there are many other ways that you can do it, obviously, and don't be shy, and just try, do your best in any means you can. And that's what I'm also trying to do. Yeah. So today's topic of my presentation is rebuilding Ukraine by supporting startups. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about startup ecosystem in Ukraine, about things that Ukraine should be known for. And I will tell you about tangible things that we all can do today, thoughts that we can keep in mind, and yeah, the spirit to have. Once again, my name is Svitlana Khrystenko. I'm an Innovation Program Manager and Service Designer at World Startup. World Startup is a platform for change makers, for innovators, and basically anyone in the world who wants to bring positive change into this world. And we have skills, tools, networking, and methods to accelerate that. I live in The Hague, and that's a little arrow, little country, of course. I think the most important thing is not where I live and not what I do, but actually that I'm Ukrainian and really proudly saying so. I was born in Kharkiv, and there's my home behind the church, and that is a tram that I used to take to go to the city center that I'm not going to be taking anymore. And unfortunately, this is how you all seen Ukraine for the past almost a year. And I do believe that no city, no village, no country in the world should be known for this. And it's a shame that you all started recognizing Ukraine and knowing it because of this. I do believe that Ukraine has a lot to offer and be known for this, for example. I do believe that Ukraine is a great IT hub for innovation. We have several cities, so innovation doesn't happen only in the Kyiv. But we have innovation hubs in Lviv, we have in Odessa, in my hometown Kharkiv, in Dnipro, and also Mariupol, by the way. There was a surprise for me to get to know that there's as well used to be a really thriving startup ecosystem. I do believe that startup ecosystem in Ukraine is really strong in a way that the war is going on and it's still thriving. It's startups still keep producing innovation. They still keep working abroad and internally. And as Svetoslav also mentioned before, and I also have it in my presentation, I'm really proud of those unicorns and those startups that were born in Ukraine. And yeah, that's something that we should be really proud of. Another thing to be proud of is our innovation hub in Kyiv, Unit City, and this is not only one hub, as I mentioned before, there are many others, many places where people could innovate, could grow, and could really bring positive change to this world. The last example is personally something that I use, our e-government app, DIA, something that even Estonian government takes as example for their e-government app. That's really amazing for me to really say that, yeah, I'm proud of our Ministry of Digitalization. I'm proud of our government that does these steps, these really important steps in order to support innovation. There's many other examples and things to be proud of, and this whole presentation is not based on this, but I just want you all to be inspired and know that Ukraine is a land of opportunity. There's a lot of bright minds, a lot of talented people, and the statistics, an interesting fact that I recently learned is that 3% of all developers in Ukraine right now changed their cozy chairs and laptops, and they joined Armed Forces of Ukraine. And I think it's up to us all together to make sure that their struggle is not in vain, that when they come back, when those men and women come back from war, they have something to look forward to. They will have new possibilities and a new environment to grow. So the question of today is, what can we do to support innovation in Ukraine? And one of the answers is create a healthy environment for startup development. And the obvious question, of course, is what is a healthy environment? The healthy environment for startup ecosystem is a complex thing that consists of several elements. I'll start with the right mindset, and by that I mean that people should be ready for innovation. And by that I mean that they should not be afraid to fail, because innovation is a steep process. It doesn't happen overnight, and it takes a lot of courage, a lot of trying, a lot of errors to go through it and push for it. But at the end, of course, it leads to a brighter future. Talent enhancement is something that I can proudly say that we do at World Startup, and that's something that I believe not only accelerators, not only incubators should do, but also the government and also private companies that can support startups with the knowledge, with the skills and tool sets for them to grow. Co-creation as a base for innovation. I do believe that we should completely abandon the top-down approach. I think we should forget about it and really believe that innovation happens only in the place where there are people from different backgrounds, people from different areas with different experiences coming together and creating something beautiful. And the more diverse the audience, the public is, and the people in the room, I think the better the chances are of innovation. Moving on to access to capital, that's a tricky one because obviously all young startups, and not only young startups, always struggle with this. And I do believe that there should be programs from the government as well as private companies to accelerate the early stage startups, to give them possibilities, financial, intellectual, to grow and to develop. And the last one is to be internationally oriented. I do believe that if you do something great locally, if you solve a problem, if you dedicate to a better future, you shouldn't be only limited by your place where you are. You should be really internationally oriented. And if you can solve the problem here, they will be really amazing and great for the whole planet if you can solve it somewhere else. So these are just a couple of basic aspects of the healthy environment. And yeah, of course, these are big words and big ambitions, and this is really future-oriented. But there are some things that we can do already today, and that we are doing already today, and I just wanted to mention to you a couple of them. Starting at things that we do at World Startup, and starting with supporting startups by providing them different knowledge, skill sessions, business development on the European markets, helping them to expand from Ukraine, but also from around the world to European markets through the Netherlands, as an example. Providing them support in funding, providing them opportunities to meet the right people at the right place, to also develop their skills. So, for example, if they need to explore their target group or get some knowledge about how to build a professional team. These skills are widely available, and that's something that I'm personally really passionate about. Providing them with startup visa support, that's something I of course encourage all Ukrainian startups to stay in Ukraine and innovate there. But if there's a chance that they can learn from other markets, from other places, and then bring that innovation to Ukraine, I think that's a really great opportunity. And the last one is building innovation hubs, and that's something that I would like to stay and look into a little bit closer, because that's something that we now mostly focus on. So innovation hubs is like a really like a body, I would call it. It's a body with little organisms, and of course the main organisms are the main stakeholders who start Innovation Hub. So they can be, for example, the government, it can be some private companies, accelerators, universities, so things like that. And what they do is that they bring the valuable knowledge, the valuable connections, very important experience and funding. And why they do this all together is because I do believe that co-creation and creating a value together is much easier than trying to do it on your own. So the idea of Innovation Hub is very simple. You just create a platform, it can be online or offline, for innovation. You collect the needed knowledge, you connect the people, the network, and by doing that, you search for innovators, or they find you. And what innovators bring to the table is, of course, their brilliant ideas, is, of course, their talents and their passion. And altogether, once you combine these elements, you get amazing results, truly. You get, importantly, acceleration. You provide startups with the markets, you provide them with opportunities, with funding, and this is overall a really great, I believe it's a great collaboration for both the stakeholders who want to bring innovation in certain sector and the startups with their great ideas. Moving on to obstacles on the way of innovation. Obviously, it's not that easy to innovate, and there are very obvious obstacles, like, for example, orientation of not the furthest future, but the close by, or the obstacle of not having enough of resources. But here I wanted to actually mention the obstacles Ukraine related. So I identified for you three areas: political, economical, and cultural. And starting with political obstacles, of course, corruption is still there. And I think that's something that you should be afraid of. That's something that you should be aware of and work towards coming over this. Outdated legal frameworks for businesses and investments. I know it used to be really difficult for Ukrainians to open their companies, to start their business. It's getting much better, I know for sure. And one of the examples that I gave you before, this application DIA, they work really well for making this better. But it is still there, and it's something that you should just embrace. Going on into economical obstacles, yeah, war, it's not a surprise, it's still there, and it's a really unfortunate force to lower down the speed of innovation of Ukraine. Something to mention that is also related is a lack of investment, and one of the reasons, of course, is the war, but another one is possible global economic recession. I believe that Ukraine should really show the world how attractive it is for investment. And obviously right now we're at war and it's really difficult to do so, but we should already work towards the future plans, the future ambitions, and the future possibilities for innovation and making Ukraine a greater place. Moving on to the last one, of course, uncertainty is a very big obstacle, and it's obstacle not only for internal innovation, but also external funding and external companies that would like to do business with Ukraine. And yeah, I do understand that it is really difficult to predict tomorrow, especially when your country is at war. But you do have to really take this risk and believe in the future, believe in innovation, and believe in collaboration. I do believe that one of the biggest issues working with Ukraine is traumatized society. It is difficult to innovate, it is difficult to accelerate when you have to care about whether you will have food on the table tomorrow or whether you will have a roof on top of your head tomorrow. Obviously, in order to innovate, you have to make sure that all your basic needs are covered and that you don't have to be afraid of those basic needs. You can already think greater, think bigger and more ambitious. So yeah, it is definitely will be, I think, one of the main obstacles right now and in the future after the war ends. And the last one is cultural differences. That's an interesting one because I work already for more than 6 years in the Netherlands, and I definitely can say that working culture there is very different from working culture in Ukraine. I don't say that one is better and one is worse. It is different. And that's something that you should just embrace and adapt. And I do believe that Ukrainians are really great at adapting and really great at resilience. And that's really something that throughout the war, the whole Ukraine shown that we are really strong and really can overcome certain obstacles on the way in order to reach the goals that we need. The future. I do believe that the future is bright. As I mentioned before, there are already so many primary factors for it to be bright for Ukraine. The only one thing that it depends is when it will become bright. Well, that's a question of when the war will end, and that's something that no one knows. But something that we know now is that we should not wait until it ends. We should act now. We should act yesterday, actually, to be fair. And just stay positive. And I bet that Ukraine already proven to be a really a great example of resilience and positive change. And I do believe that more changes and more innovation will come there soon. Thank you, everyone, and Slava Ukraini!
Героям слава. Thank you so much for a wonderful presentation and inspiring us all, as well as understanding the situation. People are wondering, how can you describe the current ecosystem in the startups in Ukraine right now, and how hard is it for those startups to scale internationally?
Well, as also Sviatoslav mentioned, it is really difficult right now. I am personally not working there in Ukraine, and it's difficult for me to assess that. But I can definitely answer the second part, is how they can access the foreign support and that. I do believe that actually the governments and the bigger companies in Ukraine should promote Ukraine abroad. I think that it's really difficult for just beginner startups, especially when you're in early stage, to really grow. It's really probably the hardest stage in startups to grow from your to validate your problem to get your first clients. And I do believe that it's difficult for them, but the bigger ecosystem, the bigger companies, and also government included, accelerators like Sunrise Valley and World Startup and many others, they are here to help. And they should be really looking towards those, not unicorns. I really hate that saying, and I really don't think that's something that we should be focused on, but they should be looking for those startups that actually or the entrepreneurs that actually bring impact, that have great ideas and have the greater vision. So,
do you hear me?
Yeah? Yes. Who was that? No, but actually, I think there should be just more links created by higher enterprises and the government to support startups.
Really great insights. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.